Hi guys dan selamat kembali ke Studio Sembang bersama saya Amy. In the studio this week we have a super exciting guest. Kita ada seorang multi-hyphenate, seorang wanita yang was a national athlete and is now still contributing to sports. We have Datuk Marina Chin. Thank you so much for joining us, Datuk. You are really, I was doing the research and you have lived so many lives in one. Saya rasa sangat-sangat terharu untuk duduk bersama Datuk dalam satu bilik dan untuk dapat peluang untuk tanya soalan pula pasal kehidupan Datuk.
Terima kasih.
Thank you so much meluangkan masa. Macam biasa, kita akan mula dekat tempat yang sama, which is, how was your childhood, Datuk?
My childhood nampak gaya macam very ordinary, basically because ibu bapa saya, mak saya tak kerja, suri rumah tangga. Bapa saya kerja sebagai kerani dekat railways. And so, very biasa lah my childhood. Dan nothing very spectacular. We grew up with the neighbours and dengan semua orang lah. So,
just like a standard Malaysian childhood,
yes,
which is very special. Tapi ada satu keunikan kalau Datuk okay dengan soalan ni, which is that you were actually adopted, Datuk.
Yes, saya dianak angkatkan, tetapi yang jadi bapa angkat saya ialah adik kepada mak kandung saya.
Interesting.
So it's within the family.
Right.
Dan oleh kerana daripada kecil, daripada baby, saya telah besar dengan diorang. So saya tak ada rasa apa-apa, dan the only difference saya rasa is semasa saya mula sekolah. Oleh kerana saya punya rupa tak rupa macam Cina, tetapi selepas dianak angkatkan saya diberi nama Cina Full, Chin Ling Sim. So memang dekat sekolah kadang-kadang ada confusion sedikit lah, oleh kerana cikgu akan panggil Chin Ling Sim, saya angkat tangan, dia kata bukan you. So saya kata saya Chin Ling Sim. Dan dia kata ya ke? Then every time semasa awal tahun tu kan kita kena bawa birth certificate and all this kind of things. So when I bring the time, they said, oh, you anak angkat ke? It's like macam satu cerita yang sedih, tetapi sebenarnya saya tak ada perasaan pun yang kata, saya ni beza daripada, saya ada seorang adik lelaki, seorang adik perempuan dekat sini. So it's like saya tak ada rasa beza lah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just one of the 3 kids, that's it.
Mm-hmm. So tak pernah sekali pun dibuat macam rasa lain daripada adik-beradik, tak pernah?
Saya rasa tak ada, because benda, kadang-kadang masalah dia ialah ibu bapa yang menjadi bapa mak angkat, mereka cuba yakinkan anak itu dengan cerita bahawa dia adalah anak kandung, tapi saya daripada kecil saya melalui proses anak angkat pasal umur 5 tahun. So saya tahu, saya sedar welfare officers datang rumah dan sebagainya. So saya rasa, dan saya tak nampak layanan yang beza daripada ibu bapa saya. Kalau banding dengan adik saya, banding dengan the neighborhood children, tak ada beza. So I didn't really feel anything lah.
Mm-hmm. How, can I ask Datuk if it's okay, macam mana benda ni di-explain kepada Datuk time kecil? Sebab I'm sure this is not something that, societally kan, tak ramai orang akan borakkan ataupun ceritakan pasal benda ni. Sekarang saya rasa zaman dah berubah.
Yes.
Tapi dulu, how was it?
Masa dulu saya rasa macam saya katalah, saya tak rasa apa-apa, because daripada kecil saya tahu cerita yang sebenar. Saya tahu bahawa ibu kandung saya dengan bapa kandung saya dah balik Australia. Cerita dia mula macam ni, semasa saya kecil, kalau duduk dengan mak bapak kandung saya akan sakit, demam dan sebagainya. So pada masa itu kepercayaan ialah mereka pergi, my nenek lah pergi semayang dekat Kuanying tu, dia orang kata, oh ini tak boleh duduk dengan mak bapak dia orang, kena bagi orang lain. So daripada bagi kat orang lain, I punya uncle, dia cakap dengan kakak dia, kata biarlah saya jaga, and then because we don't come from rich backgrounds, so when I started to go to school, dia akan merupakan satu masalah besar because he is not my legal guardian, macam mana nak sign surat and all this kind of things. And then tambah lagi dia kerja dekat railway, so setiap kali mereka nak balik Penang, diorang kena beli tiket untuk saya, walhal mereka dapat tiket free. So kalau saya jadi anak mereka, saya pun akan dapat tiket free untuk balik Penang. And
Faham.
tahulah, bapa saya punya kerja sebagai seorang kerani, kena jaga anak 3, mak saya tak kerja, so the money is very limited.
Faham.
So saya rasa oleh kerana situasi macam tu, kakak dengan adik bersetujulah untuk saya jadi anak angkat kepada adik mak saya.
And it's a beautiful thing to have family in any capacity whatsoever, kan?
Yes.
And I know you said, Datuk, that your childhood was very normal in Malaysian, but look at your life in Korea. Not so normal, very unique and incredibly exceptional, Datuk. So, okay, we'll get into it. Moving on from that chapter, what was your kind of like lifestyle like as a child? Were you very active? Ada tak suka ni main peranan dalam kehidupan Datuk?
Okay, semasa saya kecil lagi, especially semasa sekolah rendah dan sebagainya, kalau hujan, kalau cuaca sejuk sedikit, saya akan rasa sakit dekat kaki. Later, which I understand was rheumatism.
Wow.
Not very serious, tapi macam tu lah. Tetapi semakin besar, kawan jiran-jiran dan sebagainya, mulalah kita main catching, main police and thief, main these things, lalu lari. Sakit tu pun hilang.
Okay. Interesting.
No, but then if you think about it scientifically, it's because I became more active, blood flow also became more better.
And relatively sorted the condition lah.
Yes.
Very interesting.
And then this thing, saya memang suka because macam dekat semasa saya kecil, my father was very young when he got married. He got married at the age of 22. So ada banyak bachelor punya kawan yang kerja dekat railways dan sebagainya. Mereka akan kunjung dekat rumah saya, quarters dekat Sentul, untuk main mahjong dan sebagainya. So ada yang dah kahwin, yang ada anak sebaya dengan saya dan sebagainya, mereka pun akan datang. So while the parents are playing mahjong, we are running around and playing. So every time ada two boys who always challenge me to running from one tree to another tree in front of my house.
Yeah.
So we started this thing, always just running like that. Then masuk secara serius melalui program sekolah lah.
And when you started taking it seriously, ataupun macam competing in school and stuff like that, was there any inkling about, macam being a professional athlete? Was there any awareness of this at all?
Tak ada. Saya besar di sekolah Central Convent. Okay, di Central Convent kami sendiri tak ada padang kat sekolah, tetapi there was a railway padang this thing. And masa itu mereka baru mula nak kelolakan sukan tahunan sekolah pada tahun 69. And so happened tahun 69, as we were preparing for school sports dan sebagainya, May 13 happened. So school sports got cancelled. So then tahun 70 masih we carried on with the school sports, dan ada cikgu yang datang balik selepas latihan ilmu khas dan sebagainya. So mereka, distinct cikgu ni kenal Puan Raja Mani, former athlete herself, and bawa kami pergi training bersama dengan Puan Raja Mani. And melalui this kind of interaction dengan this thing, dan ambil bahagian dalam pertandingan, saya rasa macam saya ada kelajuan lebih sikit daripada orang lain, but it was still not this thing. Sampai tahun 71 adalah kali yang pertama saya pilih untuk mewakili negara, dan saya lari 4x400 meter. dan pasukan Malaysia menang pingat emas. Tapi 2 pasukan sajalah, Malaysia dengan Singapura. But whatever it is, menang pingat emas. Dan semasa kami terima medal dan dengar negaraku main, masa itulah saya terfikir kemungkinan inilah yang saya ingin buat. Inilah saya rasa saya boleh pergi lebih jauh dan inilah satu yang saya boleh
explore lagi.
Shine lah. Saya boleh menyerlah. So because I wasn't an outstanding student, you know, so it felt like and also like I said, although I feel that I had a very normal childhood and all that, tetapi kadang-kadang dekat sekolah adalah situasi di mana kadang-kadang ada beberapa orang pelajar yang selalu suka ejek saya, you know, because rupa saya dengan nama saya, and then kononlah menurut pandangan mereka semasa saya cakap bahasa Inggeris ada slang.
Slang macam mana tu?
Tak tahulah. Kemungkinan mereka padankan muka saya dengan slang that they imagine lah.
Faham.
Because I don't think I have a slang.
No, I don't think so too.
Yeah, anyway, that was the situation. So it's like, you know, for me, saya rasa okay, kemungkinan kalau saya terlibat dalam sukan, if I can excel, maybe.
Ni macam escapism juga.
Yeah.
I can understand. Datuk, can I quickly ask you just a more personal question kan? Dari segi, I rasa macam sometimes kids can be exceptionally mean sebab diorang tak ada filter langsung. Dan kadang-kadang apa yang diorang nampak tu akan translate kepada ejekan yang paling menyakitkan hati daripada budak-budak. Datuk ada tak any advice kepada orang kat luar sana? Sebab I rasa macam dalam dunia ni kita ada banyak different ways untuk proses emosi kita yang negatif. And I think you found a really positive way to do it, which is running, right?
Okay, saya rasa that is thing. You are right. When I started doing well in sports, mereka anggapkan saya sebagai orang yang mereka nak kenal. You know, there was a change in their perception of me. It's like, you know, dulu, okay, I'm just one of the students and things like that. But then after I started doing well in sports, they sort of like tried to become friends with me. You know, so it's like, for me, it's my father always taught me, be humble, whatever it is, just accept it. You know, what you don't like, forget it, but don't go fight with people.
Betul. Very good advice until now.
Yes, so that's what we did, and I think it's like, because saya rasa saya dapat terima semua benda ini oleh kerana my parents were very open and honest with me, and I know exactly what is happening, and I also realize what people think does not matter. It's what you yourself think of yourself, what you do, and this thing. To me, that's why I've never paid any importance to what people think of me. It's always like, as long as I'm doing the right thing with the right intention, that's good enough.
It's honestly shockingly simple when you think about it, but such a difficult thing to execute in a world where we're so bombarded with external influences all the time.
Dulu tak adalah all this social media dan sebagainya. So it's like, if you don't meet them, then you don't hear all this.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, you know, within that few years when I started doing well in sports and things like that, they kind of like stopped because they saw another side of me, and they wanted to be my friend.
Yeah, it was very cool. A rebrand, if you will, Dato'. I also wanted to ask you, I think from the perspective of a parent mungkin di luar sana kan, a lot of parents tend to err on the side of thinking macam, okay, anak saya budak lagi, konsep ni mungkin terlalu besar untuk anak saya terima. And then they try to dress it up as like, a tooth fairy or Christmas or whatever it could be, right? But you seem to suggest that honesty, transparency dengan budak-budak kadang-kadang lebih membantu mereka untuk faham sesuatu, walaupun kecil. Do you think that that's true?
Yes, I think from my own experience, saya rasa oleh kerana daripada sejak kecil, sejak saya boleh memahami apa yang sedang berlaku dan sebagainya, I always knew what was happening. I always knew who I was, how I'm related to this person, how I'm related to my parents in Australia. Dekat Australia, saya ada 6 adik-beradik lagi.
Wow.
And we have a very good relationship. In fact, tahun ni, I just went to Australia to celebrate my 70th birthday with my siblings in Australia.
Wow.
So it's like this thing. Dan saya rasa it is very important for parents yang menganak angkatkan sesiapa pun to be very honest with them, because it can be very very traumatic kalau mereka dengar daripada orang lain. And if they are brought up in a very loving environment, they are told that they were chosen because they love them and things like that, it shouldn't really,
make a difference.
Yes.
It's very interesting to hear your perspective on this, Dato'. Thank you for sharing it, for being open about it. Okay, so let's go back into sports for a second. How did your parents respond to, especially in a much more conservative time bandingkan dengan sekarang, di mana I think like even for my generation, Dato', when I wanted to go into entertainment, my parents were like, traditional job. So what was it like for you kind of at the beginning of your career when you started noticing, okay, sebenarnya saya sangat berbakat dalam bidang ni? How did your parents respond to it in terms of measuring up education?
My father was a runner himself. So he encouraged me. My parents, kalaulah saya, masa dulu, our main venue for competition is Merdeka Stadium. So saya akan pergi ke this thing whenever I competed in Merdeka Stadium. During the weekend, my whole family will be there to support me. Kalaulah saya lari di tempat lain, di negeri lain dan sebagainya, asalkan KTM sampai, my father will be there. So then because he didn't have that extra money, but if he goes with a KTM, the train is already free. And then dia akan duduk dengan kawan-kawan KTM dia lah to sing. So just to see me run and things like that. Tetapi my father always had one pesanan. Don't forget your studies.
He's everybody's father at this point. All the fathers sound the same, right?
Yes, that's why masa tahun 72, after I finished the national meet and everything in August, he told me, he said, okay, it's time to take a break. You're going to sit for the SPM exam. So it's time for you to take a break and focus on your studies for a while.
How lovely.
Yes.
But it's so nice to hear that, I think itu satu lagi benda yang orang macam mungkin tak seberapa nampak kan, how much family support really makes a difference, right? Although your dad's advice this rings true until today. Do you remember what point it was pada permulaan career Dato', di mana Dato' rasa macam, okay, this is like, I'm really, really internationally good at this and I'm gonna start setting goals for myself as a professional. Do you remember when that was?
Nombor satu, saya tidak pernah fikir diri saya sebagai professional athlete because there was no such thing at that time. Kami terpaksa pada masa itu in the 70s, 60s, well, 60s I wasn't there yet, but even the 70s right until the 80s, pengambilan penyertaan dalam sukan merupakan hobi which you did during your free time. And you may have to make sacrifices. Macam saya, the sacrifices that I did was, time that I could have spent going out with my friends ke apa. Not that my father would have allowed it so much. But times like that, I was spent training.
Yeah.
So, but I also still had a career. I went into Teachers Training Institute. I became a teacher. I had a proper job as a teacher, and running was a hobby.
Right.
So at that time, there was no. Pada pandangan saya, it's not like, saya rasa I'm not a very ambitious person. You know, I take things as it comes. So when I started doing well in sports, I carry on. And the only thing yang jadi motivating factor kepada saya is selalu nak memperbaiki masa pribadi saya. So it's like I didn't compare myself with people and things like that. Tetapi every time I just wanted to do better than what I was able to do. And macam saya kata lah, I just take things as they come along. So like, right until 1979, then when I applied for a scholarship to go to the US, okay, I was given the scholarship. I went to the US. I ran for university there. Tetapi then when it comes to shove, because in 1981, my grandfather was not very well. He was old. He was not very well. And pada masa tu, Yamaha had contacted me to do an advertisement. Knowing very well that kalau I buat advertisement, I would be considered professional. So tak boleh ambil bahagian dalam amateur sports lagi. But at that time, I teringin nak tengok my grandfather because mungkin it will be the last time. But I don't have that kind of extra money to come back on my own. Neither could my father afford to give me that kind of money. So, and I was already 27. So I made the decision. I said, okay, since they want to pay me to come back to Malaysia to do an advertisement, why not? So I came back and did the Yamaha Pasola advertisement.
My gosh. And these are like certain really big turning point decisions juga for you kan, Datuk, in your career.
Yes, but like I said, it's like at that time, like, see, for me, in my life is I take what life throws at me and make the best of it. So this kind of a situation where, and at that time also, when you think you're 27, 28, how long more can you go? So
I suppose. Okay, I do have some questions about that, but before we get into that kind of chapter of your life and career, I wanted to ask about when you first started becoming a national athlete. And mungkin apa di antara sacrifices ataupun challenges di sebalik tabir yang orang tak seberapa tahu?
Saya rasa semasa saya jadi atlet, kemungkinan my family tak mampulah sediakan semua peralatan yang diperlukan. So saya ingat lagi my first ever track suit. My parents beli kain corduroy and asked a friend's wife to sew the tracksuit for me. Because that was how supportive they were, but they couldn't afford to buy a proper tracksuit, but it served me well. And then kasut spikes, of course, the school had bought me a pair, but 1971 Siap Games, I wanted a better pair. At that time, they had this pair called the 𝙀𝙀𝙄𝙎 Gold after the Mexico Olympics. And it was 49 ringgit. Okay, pada masa itu, Olympic Council bagi kami 25 ringgit untuk beli spike. But I wanted a 49 ringgit pair of spikes. So, adalah dua orang cikgu yang said, Sim, don't worry. We give you $12 each. So, these two teachers gave me $12 each. So, with that, I could buy my 𝙀𝙀𝙄𝙎 Gold pair of spikes.
To complete the outfit. Dato', is there like a common misconception that especially in a smaller country like Malaysia where kadang-kadang kita punya sports infrastructure tak cukup besar kalau kita nak bandingkan dengan negara yang international, because we're a smaller country and especially during your time, a baby country at that, that you needed this financial support. Is that still a thing until today?
Saya rasa pada zaman sekarang, our athletes are very lucky. They are very well supported. They're very well supported. They have programs like, it's just like now we have sports schools. So if you're a really good athlete as a school-going child, you can, if you get invited, you can pilih untuk masuk sekolah sukan. Sekolah sukan di mana makanan dijaga, your budget for food for sekolah sukan is much better than asrama school, much better than other normal schools and all that. We have an in-house dietitian. We have this thing. So dia punya, the welfare of the athletes, if they're going to school, agak terjaga, because daripada segi, it's not a financial burden on the parents. Daripada segi equipment, daripada segi makan, medical, everything is taken care of. On top of that, di sekolah-sekolah sukan di Malaysia, there's 5 national sports schools. Mereka cuba untuk memastikan bahawa pendidikan atlet-atlet ini tidak terabai. So we're trying to make sure that they get a proper education as well as still facilities needed to progress in their sports.
During your time, Dato', who were did you have any female athlete, blueprints for you to look up to, or was a lot of it just because as you mentioned, the infrastructure of sports schools, semua tu yang wujud sekarang, dulu tak ada. So how was it a lot of just figuring it out?
Peranan cikgu-cikgu dekat sekolah. Because apa yang berlaku ialah sekolah-sekolah sampai hari ini mereka terpaksa buat sukan tahunan, mereka terpaksa buat sukan tara, mereka terpaksa buat merentas desa. These are the 3 primary things that every school is supposed to do. So melalui program seperti itu dekat sekolah dan sebagainya, mereka dapat kenal pastilah, who are the ones who are a little bit better in sports and things like that. And then like I said, cikgu-cikgu punya minat, cikgu punya commitment, because macam saya dekat Sentul, macam saya katalah, sekolah saya tak ada padang. And so we had a teacher who had come back from this thing, Puan Faiza, yang bawa sekali dua bawa kami pergi Kampung Pandan, jumpa dengan Puan Rajamani, and that's where I started training with Puan Rajamani. And we had this teacher, Miss Navam, who would, because she was single and she was free, she would drive us to Kampung Pandan 3 times a week. And then, there was Puan Rosario, who will help us in this way, But then by the time I became serious, and I still wanted to train with coaches in Kampung Pandan, because at that time that was the training area for us. My father continued to support me by this thing lah. Walaupun susah, tetapi he'd give me the bus fare, because terpaksa ambil 2 bus ke Kampung Pandan dan balik. But at that time it was possible because it was only 20 cents, although 2 buses, 20 cents one way and 20 cents to come back.
But still, if we account for inflation, what would that be today? It's not 20 cents, so we cannot 1-for-1 it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, when we ask about training, I think this is something yang I rasa sangat menarik, especially for female athletes, because I think that a lot of the time training yang kita nampak tu kebanyakan diorientkan kepada atlet-atlet kita yang lelaki, unless I'm mistaken. Because I think women's bodies work a little bit different in the sense that it's a very cyclical thing. There are certain days you wake up and just physically maybe don't feel so well. So when you were training as a national athlete, what was there any moment where you felt like, okay, there's a lot of adapting that I need to do, or was it very tailored towards you and your body?
Pada ketika itu, saya rasa coaches, or even there were hardly any sports scientists, even the medical people who treated us and things like that, tak nampak keperluan perbezaan latihan antara atlet lelaki dengan atlet perempuan. Kami semua dilayan sama sahaja. Dan oleh kerana kami sebagai atlet wanita berada dalam situasi itu, kami punya tanggapan, our expectations also is just that. So it's like, okay, if you have your monthly period, you just deal with it. Sekarang, then we talk a lot about how it's different, and YB Hana even made sure that dekat ISN there's a special a gynecologist who comes in at least once a week so that female athletes who have problems can go and see her.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's really incredible because I think like awareness of things like polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, which can really impact women, apalagi women yang dalam sukan. I'm so happy to hear this.
Yes, and this particular doctor, Dr. Jerry Lee, when she first came, she was trained as a gynecologist. Tetapi sekarang dia sudah nampak bahawa ada keperluan untuk sports gynecology.
Wow.
But because there is no such thing in Malaysia yet and things like that, so she gives a lot of talks. We organize seminars and things like that. And she tries and read up as much as she can on the internet. She tries and read up on research and things like that and tries to share that whatever knowledge she has while dealing with our female athletes.
That's awesome. Oh, it's so cool to see. I mean, obviously kita masih ada banyak lagi yang kita boleh memperkembangkan lagi. Tapi we've come so far as well. During your time, how did you do it specifically? Trying to navigate all this by yourself?
Like I said, we just adapted to it. It's like at my time there were opportunities, like there were people when we did hear about people wanting to get jabs to slow down their period or to stop their period during competition and things like that. But saya sendiri tidak percaya bahawa the natural flow of things should be disturbed. So I just carried on with it. And this is a funny story. Because when I went to the States, the first time I was running for my university, I had my period, so I wore a pad. And my university uniform is white top, white shorts. So when I came out, took off my track bottoms and things like that, my friends from the same team came up to me and says, "You're not going out like that." So they took me back into the bathroom and taught me how to use a tampon.
Oh my gosh.
But that's...
What a story. That sounds like my idea of oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times. And I'm not even an athlete, Dato', right? But this is like the fear of wearing white.
Yeah.
Apa lagi kalau nak kena berlari with a pad?
Yes. But no, wearing a pad and running does not faze me because sudah biasa. Sudah biasa. Tetapi Malaysia punya running uniform tak pernah putih.
Ya, betul juga. Tapi tak kisahlah dia putih ke tak putih ke, it's still a terrifying...
No, we were just so used to it already.
Oh my gosh. I have a personal experience to share with you, Dato'. I used to be a competitive dancer. So not running, but competitive dancing. And so we used to have these examinations that we used to take. And I took, after I finished my studies as well, because my parents, very similar to yours, Dato', they were like, you have to study. So I took a year off to pursue my passion before I decided that actually my passion is in entertainment. But I was doing ballet at quite a serious level. And so I had to take this one exam, and it was like leading up to the days of this exam yang kena, and then I was like, woke up in the morning, went to the bathroom, I was like, no! On my exam day, the last thing I want to be doing is thinking about the fact that I have a period. This is like not cool. So I went to the doctor and I said, please give me whatever it is yang ada so that this will just go away until my exam is over. I don't care, like stop now, right? So I took a pill and then everything went smoothly. I did pretty well. But the side effects physically of whatever it is that I had taken in my body were quite unpleasant. Yeah, when my body decided to reset and go back to normal again. So I always thought that like should there be more either awareness, accommodation, facility? What are your thoughts on this, Dato'?
Memang there should have been more information
Maybe
given to athletes about this kind of things, but during my time there wasn't. But we grew up in that environment, so we didn't expect anything. All we know was, it happens. It's normal. You have to live with it. So now, like I said, this Dr. Jareli, she's very good. She's having, every time she has talks with the kids and things like that. And the kids can come and see her and they can tell her this. But she always advises them that she has her I suppose dia punya guidelines lah, bila boleh buat, bila tak boleh buat and all these kind of things. But most of the time she advises the kids to try and adapt to the situation and then prove it to the kids that, by research showing that, walaupun you dapat you punya period while you're running and things like that, it does not affect your performance dan sebagainya. So I think it's this kind of information yang boleh meyakinkan athlete, because after all, it's a natural human process.
Yes.
So if you just think, why let it affect you? Because whether you like it or not, it's going to come every month. Whether you like it or not, you cannot arrange your competition schedule based on you, because there are so many other people in
Stakeholders, right? Just for one period, we're shifting the entire competition.
That's the thing, lah.
Yeah.
So like I said, nowadays the kids, the athletes are very much luckier because they have this kind of this thing. And I think the Institute of Sports is with the foresight from the minister, they
Making changes.
yes.
That's so lovely to hear. Another thing I kind of wanted to ask about in terms of being a woman in any type of spotlight, was there ever any pressure yang Datuk rasa to maybe behave societally in a certain way that your male counterparts were not subject to?
Saya rasa my behavior is more affected after I became a teacher.
Interesting.
Basically because as a teacher, I understood that the kids look up to me as a role model. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, when we were younger, my husband was quite a party animal. So New Year's Eve, you go to Selangor Club, and then they'll be dancing on the tables and things like that, and I'll be sitting quietly on the chair, and then they'll say, why don't you join us, and things like that. I said, no, there may be some students around,
Oh, I understand.
former students or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and the thing is also, I think it's like sampai sekarang pun, I'm very aware that I am recognized as Marina Chin, and so I'm always very careful about how I do things and how I behave and things like that, because it's like, I've had my share of rumors lah when I was at the peak of my career, very unpleasant rumors, which I don't want to encourage it to happen again. It's not true, but you can't stop people from talking. You know how you're in the entertainment industry.
I know, I completely understand.
They'll pair you up with this person and say,
Yes, I completely understand. Yes. This has happened to me. Honestly, every single time I take a job, I am just ready. Unless the actor is married, I am ready to be publicly questioned on whether or not I am dating them.
Yes.
And we could hate each other. Right? It's like really, nobody knows, right? But yeah.
No, but it's just like Mokhtar and I won the Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year, and then that started a whole thing. And I pity Mokhtar because he was engaged and he was trying to explain to his girlfriend, and
It becomes really complicated behind the scenes.
yes,
Then.
and he and I, we're not even we were friends. Yes, the whole thing started was because he used to come to Kampung Pandan. He lives in Kampung Pandan to jog, to rehabilitate after his knee operation and stuff like that. And we both got nominated. He didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. And we had to go to Lake Club. So we were talking to each other, how do we go to Lake Club? Then he said, okay, why don't we meet at the Odeon Stadium and then take a taxi to this thing. So we took one taxi and went to...
Scandalous, Datuk. How could you take the same taxi in a means of conserving logistical, you know?
It was funny, but this kind of things happen. And then, of course, then there was this big rumor about me and one minister. And
Oh, yo.
that's why I said this. That's why I'm very careful.
No, I understand.
Very careful with how I behave and things like that. So,
Can I ask you a bit of a complicated question, Datuk?
Sure.
Yes.
if I can answer. Lah.
Yeah, because no, you are beautiful.
Thank you.
And sometimes this is as much of a curse as it is a blessing, right? And like, I think, and this is the complexity of being not just, just a complete and total triple threat that you are, right? Which is beauty, brains, and also brawn, because you can also do the execution, right? And did you ever find that sometimes your accomplishments in the arena of sports were a little bit overshadowed by the way that you looked and these types of like nonsensical rumors that started? Do you feel like it was because you were just really an astoundingly beautiful woman?
I've never really thought about myself as being beautiful. That's why, it's like the thing about I did win a beauty contest once. The Miss Railway.
I mean, the pictures are there. Okay, so it's
never mind, but it's my own perception
of yourself. Yes, I
Yes,
understand.
I didn't really think of myself as a beauty, in the sense that people did say it sometimes and all that, but I always thought that there are other people who are more beautiful and things like that, and it's just I don't know. It's just it didn't strike me, but like I said, I did have a lot of male admirers and things like that. But sometimes I don't know where to draw the line. I don't know whether it's that they were trying to get close to me because I'm Marina Chin, or they were trying to get close to me because I'm pretty. At this thing, but I guess. There was one situation that helped me solve this problem a lot. I had a boyfriend in the team.
I can imagine that would solve a lot of things.
Yes.
Yes, because I feel like being single in this environment is a lot more challenging.
Yes.
Right, okay. No, it's just interesting for me to think about just from the outside as just like a reader, a fan, right? Because I would always think that like, no matter how much you accomplish, was there any part of you that felt like, is this what people want to look at? Like, look at all the gold medals. They're left, right, and center. And now this is a rumor that you want to really? After working so hard at that, right? And the fact that this perception of women specifically, this always happens to beautiful women, right? Where sometimes this narrative overshadows all of your really hard work and accomplishments and hours you put in.
Saya rasa dalam bidang olahraga dia keadaan macam ni kurang timbul oleh kerana olahraga is a measurable sports. So it's not like kalau kita katakan say hockey ke volleyball ke apa, where then your beauty could influence the choice of the coach and things like that.
Faham.
But I think where olahraga is concerned, everything is measurable. So there's no
issue of this
issue
kind.
with that.
That's just really, really good. Did you feel like it was any harder untuk membuktikan? No, I guess, because as you said, it's quantifiable with the bakat and everything. Okay, so how about the recognition and maybe support yang you received as a female athlete specifically, especially during that time? How was the social reception terhadap atlet-atlet wanita?
Saya rasa di Malaysia atlet wanita tidak kurang peluang untuk menyerta, untuk whatever it is and things like that. If you are good, and you will get equal support daripada segi, because at the current moment, Malaysian sports is very, very supported by the government. So whether you're male or you're female, if you're good, you're good. You get supported, During my time pun, macam saya kata, okay, dalam bidang olahraga, it's a measurable sports. If you're good, you're good. So daripada segi, and I think dekat Malaysia, kita tidak akan nampak ketidakseimbangan dalam sokongan yang diterima oleh kerana daripada peringkat sekolah. Daripada peringkat sekolah dekat di peringkat MSSM, which is Competition for School Children. There is equal opportunities for girls and boys. Kalau dia ada competition untuk wanita, dia ada competition untuk lelaki. In the same way. And so the same way like, okay, then walaupun bola sepak kata baru buka pintu untuk ladies to take part at school level and things like that. Tetapi at the same time, we also have games like netball for girls. We have games like cimrama only for girls. So in terms of opportunities, in terms of support untuk atlet wanita, saya rasa daripada dulu sampai sekarang tak jadi masalah. The only thing is masalah timbul daripada segi kepegawaian, kejulatihan, that is still berat sebelah lah kepada pihak lelaki.
In what way, Datuk?
If you look at the national teams, okay, macam Sukan C that's going to Bangkok soon. Kalaulah kita dapat tengok senarai ahli rombongan, you will find that there are very few women coaches, very few women officials. Rugby wanita, manager dia lelaki. You mean to say we cannot find a woman to become a manager?
For a women's team?
Yes, because we do have a female team, we do have female players, we do have ex-female players. So in that sense, there's still a lot of work to be done for that aspect.
Can I ask a really stupid question, Datuk? Tapi ada perbezaan ke apabila macam, I mean I'm sure there are, but dari pandangan Datuk, apa perbezaan apabila satu kumpulan atau pasukan wanita dapat seorang coach yang wanita juga bandingkan dengan coach lelaki? Ada tak macam sudut-sudut yang mungkin seorang coach wanita boleh bagi kepada pasukan tu that maybe satu coach lelaki memang just tak akan faham ataupun tak akan boleh membantu?
Saya rasa kelebihan kalau kita ada, first and foremost, coaching must be based on merit lah. So tak kira lah coach lelaki ke coach perempuan, because saya pernah jadi coach dan saya pernah jadi coach kepada peserta-peserta lelaki. Because they came and asked me if I would coach them. So I said okay, and it didn't make any difference whether I'm not identified as a female coach. I was identified as coach. Okay? So in that sense, saya rasa there shouldn't be any difference. Having said that, kalaulah, if you don't have a what you call it, or you can't get the best coach, woman coach for a woman's team, there's no harm this thing. But what I'm saying is that perlu ada seorang wanita yang daripada segi kepegawaian, whether manager ke apa, so that kalaulah ada, there are certain things, like we said, when we talk about period and things like that, kadang-kadang nak bincang dengan coach lelaki tu susah sikit, and sometimes because some of them they suffer from very bad period pains ke apa ke, or some accident happens.
Faham.
And they have to go and take care.
Yeah.
So in that sense plus now we're always talking about safe sports and all these kind of things. So it's like it'd be nice if we see more ladies getting involved with the teams at decision making level, at managerial level and things like that, so that we can feel more secure that their welfare will be taken care of.
And also I think it opens up more space for female athletes, post-retirement from the physical aspect of their career, which is really important. Like the work that you're doing, which is also incredibly important. Did you ever think that when you were an athlete, one day you would, or even in your day-to-day at the time that you were an athlete, that you were contributing in such an impactful way, bigger than just whether you took home the gold medal or not, tapi you were creating satu ruang untuk atlet-atlet wanita sekarang untuk ada seorang idola yang pernah mengambil langkah yang mereka impikan? Did you recognize that during the time that you were doing it, or was it very like, I'm just taking part in this competition?
When I was an athlete, I didn't think further than doing athletics, but I did think of moving into coaching, and that's what I did when I finished my running. And tetapi, like I said, the progression from this thing into administrative and all this kind of things is like I was slowly nudged along.
The line.
Yeah.
Before we get into all of the administrative stuff that you've done in your career, Dato', what does it feel like untuk mewakili sebuah negara? That sounds high pressure.
I think if you notice, kadang-kadang semasa atlet menerima medal mereka dan dengar their national anthem being played, tears will roll down their eyes. Because it is very, very, it's a feeling that you cannot describe. You know, it's just like I said in 1971 when I got my gold medal for the 4x400 and hearing the Negaraku played, that's when I decided, you know, this is what I want to do. You know, this is what I feel so proud that I can hear the Negaraku being played because of me. So it's just kind of a feeling that's undescribable.
Aku tak boleh bayangkan, kecuali kalau you pernah melalui sesuatu begitu kan. But also it's not just that. I also wanted to ask about something that you had said earlier that's really interesting. Dari satu sudut, dia sangat membanggakan kepada seorang individu untuk dapat jadi punca ataupun sebab kenapa negaraku dimainkan. Tapi pada masa yang sama, untuk jadi seorang atlet yang healthy pula, tak boleh terlalu fokus pada all of the medals that you can take home, right? Like, did you go into it with an idea of like, okay, I want to get 3 gold medals this time around? You said you just wanted to beat yourself.
Yes, my focus has always been to beat my own time. But obviously there was a lot of pressure outside to say that you must win the gold medal and things like that. But I always felt that if I could beat the time based on the statistics of who is doing what and things like that, that the gold medal is a possibility.
Which you proved to be true many times.
Yes. But as I progress as a coach, as a teacher, as head of the sports school and things like that, I didn't want to teach the younger generation that they must chase gold medals. Because apa yang lebih penting ialah mereka, semasa mereka pergi pertandingan, especially when they are younger, mereka sepatut tahu if they have done well, apa yang mereka buat dengan baik. Kalau mereka buat kurang baik, apa kelemahan yang boleh dibetulkan dan sebagainya. And gold medal is very abstract. You know, how do you judge your own success? It must be measurable. Your target must be measurable. You know, and orang dekat luar tu nampak. You know, that's why sometimes I get a bit annoyed with our newspapers because they chase target, they just think, and then diorang kata, okay, kalau tak menang target, you know what happened? This person is not doing this. They condemn straight, you know. But the athlete has spent so many months. You think they want to lose? They don't want to lose. Tetapi they must also understand that this thing, kadang-kadang, taking part in all these competitions is a roadmap for you to achieve things later. It's just like I took part in 71 SEA Games, 73 SEA Games, 75 SEA Games, And I did not win individual gold medals until 77. You know, because as you grow along, then you learn a little bit more, and then it's always, what do you call it? The experiences and the information you get, because you get different coaches. Ada yang it's just like in 1975 when I first switched to hurdles. The coach looked at me and says, "I'm very strong. You should take 7 strides to the first hurdle." Okay. Much later, I learned hardly anybody ever takes 7 strides to the first hurdle. You take 8 strides. When you take 8 strides, you reach the hurdle, this thing. So if you take 7, you can reach the hurdle. But as you get this thing, as you move along, you're moving further and further away from the other hurdles.
Yes, because your strides have all like been set back.
Yes. So these are things that you learn along the way.
Like experience is a
Yeah.
good teacher juga.
Yes.
Kan?
Yes. So that's the thing now.
I think sometimes for people yang tak pernah melalui benda ni, especially seperti sukan, because the percentage of people who have been professional athletes tu agak rendah. So the ability to look at somebody's career as an athlete holistically and zoom out like that, kadang-kadang tak ada. Maybe and that's the awareness for it tak ada.
Mungkin.
Potentially. We've come to a point where I want to ask you about kind of your transition. It says retirement, but I think retirement is not an appropriate word because I don't think you ever stopped really. But about your transition, and I think this is really, really interesting and something that maybe ramai kat luar sana boleh belajar sesuatu ataupun get your insight on, right? And I think as a woman, especially when it comes to people say progressing in life from a traditional standpoint, jadi seorang isteri, jadi seorang ibu akan membawa jalan kehidupan seorang wanita ke arah yang kadang-kadang lain daripada kerja, apa lagi kalau kerja dalam bidang yang memerlukan your physicality as well, seperti bidang sports and I think actually kita dah sampai 2025 di mana ramai wanita akan hadap benda ni, sama ada diorang sports women ke tidak, sebab a lot of us work in offices, we have to go here, go there, be very active, and this becomes an issue because it's always branded as sacrifice seorang wanita untuk jadi seorang ibu, and it's terrifying to think of. And how did you navigate this, and what words, kata-kata semangat ke ataupun maybe a different perspective you can share with us?
Saya rasa semasa saya pilih untuk kahwin dan sebagainya, I did not foresee all this kind of problems. I was coaching and it did not interfere with my married life or anything like that. But looking back, I think I am very, very lucky. Oleh kerana my parents were young. So when my children masih lagi kecil, masih lagi perlu supervision and all these kind of things, if I had to go somewhere else for work and all these kind of things, masa tu kerja dekat kementerian you tahulah, every time you go somewhere else, another state for work and things like that, my parents were there to help me out. And I'm also very lucky daripada segi my mother-in-law. She's very typically Punjabi, very traditional, very religious, but she never once asked me to stop doing the kind of work that I was doing, especially, like in the coaching and things like that. And like you said, kebanyakan daripada kepegawaian sukan dan sebagainya adalah orang lelaki. So it's like, I was in contact with a lot of men. I even have a good friend who doesn't drive, so everywhere he goes in my car. We go to Penang together, we go to this thing. But he knows my husband knows him, and my husband has no objection. So, it didn't really matter. But like I said, and I have had friends who's, once they got married and they were still coaching and things like that, and mother-in-laws subtly told them that, your role has changed now. You better focus on the family and things like that. But I think, saya rasa pada pandangan saya sekarang, I think like we are very, very blessed to have a woman minister for sports, and dia nampak this kind of problems, and we're trying to overcome these problems a little bit at a time. So macam saya kata lah, sekarang nak jaga anak dan sebagainya memang okay lah, kata tugas mak, if they say the husband cannot do it or whatever. So now, dulu we never had a nursery in ISN. Sekarang ada nursery dekat ISN. So if you are coaching and things like that, anak hantar kat nursery, you have professional pengasuh to look after these children, and then you pick them up again when you finish and things like that. So that has eased the burden for the women coaches and women officials and things like that. One, and then now, like we said, when we this thing. Plus the other thing is, saya rasa sekarang pun, like I was telling you earlier, this ex-student who has come back to Bukit Jalil as a netball coach, she's married to an ex-pole vaulter, and this thing, they have this understanding as to, the man understands her passion for netball, and although he is passionate about his sports, but they realize that somebody has to make a sacrifice, and he says, okay, I will be a teacher in the school. You can go and do your netball. I will take care of the children while you are coaching and things like that. So saya rasa, and this is what I advocate every time we go and talk about problems getting wanita untuk menjadi jurulatih, untuk menjadi pegawai dan sebagainya. I always appeal to the men, please support your wives. Please support your female members of your family, because we need them. We need them. And we are going to we will definitely see more progress if we get more women involved. Because we have seen in the corporate sector and things like that, women bosses do better.
I do have a follow-up question. I don't know if this ever reached you, Datuk, but there was a really horrific clip that was making its rounds on the internet roughly last week, I believe. And this sent me into a fury that I cannot even explain in words. It was of somebody on a podcast, and this guy, to quote him directly, and please forgive my complete and terrible use of words, but I'm quoting him directly. He said, tugas seorang wanita adalah untuk duduk kat rumah, untuk buat kerja rumah, dan untuk, I quote, mengkangkang. More or less, okay? Yeah, that's exactly what he said. And the word kangkang was used. And I just got immediately very, very, very offended. But I am a younger single woman. And I think that perhaps it would be really interesting to dapat your insight on this, Dato, as somebody who has always been an active career woman, who has impacted an industry in such a tangible way. And also seorang yang mencipta ruang untuk anak-anak muda berkembang dalam industri sukan, tak kisahlah sama ada mereka wanita ataupun lelaki, in your role as a leader. What are your thoughts on this? And why is it important untuk wanita di luar sana jadi aktif dan tak rasa diorang punya tugasan sebagai seorang isteri menghalang mereka daripada making social change?
I think the person who made that comment is a bigot.
Yeah.
But saya rasa the thing, saya senantiasa ingin tunjuk kepada the young ladies who come after me. I always tell people I am 70. I need people who will step up and take over my place in terms of being a role model, in terms of serving in committees and things like that. In fact, even when I was head of the school, I always tried to train, this one is not men or women, but whoever was capable to step up into leadership roles so that there will be future leaders, for the sports school system and things like that. In the same way now we are training younger women athletes. It's just like the minister has Wednesday, appointed a new board for ISN. And when she introduced Datuk Leong Man Yi, she specifically stated, we are trying to promote and encourage retiring athletes to come back and serve. Because somebody like Dang Mani, she's got years of experience as a diver. She's got her coaching certificates. She's got this thing. But she's a mother and a wife. But again, she's also very lucky because she married a sportsman. And I suppose, but I think at the present moment, the perception of men, we are educating the young boys to realize that women also have a role to play outside of the home, you know. So that's what we're trying to encourage young girls to see and to encourage the young boys to support that.
I do also want to ask, I mean for me this is soalan yang sebenarnya tak perlu pun jawapan, tapi saya rasa as a disclaimer, sebab feminism or talking about equality sometimes gets a negative reputation disebabkan orang rasa macam dia dah jadi, benda ni dah berubah daripada kita cuba membangkit satu society di mana kita ada equality, di mana wanita ada peluang juga, dan dia dah berubah kepada wanita versus lelaki, which dah jadi benda yang sangat lain dan kita tak nak pun benda tu. Why is it important? And also, what is your answer if somebody were to ask you macam, does this ever impede on the rights or the agency or the authoritativeness of seorang lelaki in a leadership position?
Pada pandangan saya, dia tidak sepatutnya lah. Tidak sepatutnya. But sometimes women have got to change. Sometimes women themselves feel that they cannot do as well as the men, and that's why they don't this thing. But I think they have got to step up and take the chances that are being given to them and prove to themselves and people outside that they are capable of doing it, so that, you know, then there will be more in education itself. You can see lah. The number of lady teachers we have and the number of ladies we have in holding top positions in the Ministry of Education.
Yeah.
But
Baby steps.
Baby steps, yeah.
And I think we will make significant change. In your role as an educator, not just as a teacher, also like a principal, you've done so much, right, Dato'? What is your approach to leadership ataupun untuk jadi seorang cikgu, especially kalau kita nak kaitkan dengan bidang sukan pula? As a women leader in sports, how do you teach the next generation? Apakah cara yang paling terbaik? Apalagi dengan generation sekarang yang terpaling plugged in, yang kita pernah nampak sebelum ni, yang ada akses kepada sangat banyak influencers dekat luar sana untuk kekalkan fokus mereka, untuk incentivize mereka. Apakah cara yang terbaik dari pandangan Datuk?
Saya rasa this thing lah, cara yang terbaik ialah untuk meyakinkan my students, okay, especially my students. Saya punya cara ialah untuk meyakinkan mereka bahawa they can be the best at whatever they want to be. To me, it's like, I don't believe everybody has to go through the academic part or everybody has to go through the sports part. They may become, like you said, entertainers. They may become, everybody has got their strong point. So it's for them to find that strong point and develop it, if that's what they're interested in. So daripada sana, saya rasa, and to me, it's like, di sekolah, apa yang saya buat ialah, whether it's the students to hold, sometimes like in school, there's plenty of opportunities daripada segi co-curriculum. Mereka boleh jadi, ketua club this one or whatever. So to me is this thing. Sometimes what happens is socially they look at it and say kemungkinan kepimpinan patut diberi kepada orang lelaki. But for me, that's not true. For me, it's like, sesiapa yang boleh melaksanakan tugas, yang boleh bertanggungjawab dan sebagainya, tak kira lah perempuan ke lelaki. So when they see that, and I was in Bukit Jalil School for 7.5 years. So the kids that went through my time, I think they saw a lot of that Saya tak kira lelaki ke perempuan ke, whatever. If you are capable, it's there. So I think that's the best way of showing people.
I think sometimes juga capacity tu akan datang daripada seorang punya keyakinan diri juga. So what is your best advice untuk macam budak-budak kat luar sana yang macam mungkin nak menceburi sesuatu tapi keyakinan diri tu tak ada, in improving self-confidence in general, dan untuk jumpa dekat saluran mana diorang nak pergi in life, how to even get to that in the first place, to overcome this internal...
Okay. Daripada segi budak sekolah lah. We start with budak sekolah dan sebagainya kan. Keyakinan diri is like, okay, I will share my experience dekat Bukit Jalil. Semasa saya masuk Bukit Jalil sebagai pengetua dekat pada tahun 2007. Okay. Macam saya katalah, saya tanya cikgu semua kenapa academic result macam ni, mereka punya tanggapan bahawa these are athletes, so it's expected. But apa yang saya nampak dekat sana is just that the kids are not guided. The kids are not guided, and because the teachers think like that, the kids also think like that. So apa yang saya buat ialah setiap kali kita ada assembly, or every time I get a chance to talk to, if you talk to any of the Bukit Jalil students, they will tell you lah, dia punya mantra is only two things. Seimbangan di antara pendidikan dan sukan. Seimbangan sukan, pendidikan. You must do both. That's what my father taught me. And I believe. And daripada sana saya rasa budak-budak, when they start to see that academically they can do just as well as any other student out there, they said, oh, we're not that silly. We also can study, So they this thing. And then daripada sana juga kita di peringkat sekolah juga kita beri peluang kepada mereka untuk mencuba macam-macam punya this thing. Dekat Bukit Jalil we have a band. It's a sports school, but we have a kugiran.
I like kugiran.
Yeah, 4-5,
Yes,
because we
yes.
have
Kumpulan gitar
boys,
rancak.
girls who can sing, who can play the guitar, who can play the drum. So we encourage that. Then masa for co-curriculum, that is thing, okay, daripada just ambil senarai daripada senarai yang dicatat dalam kementerian punya documents and all this kind of things. Saya tanya budak-budak, I did survey, tanya dia orang, co-curriculum minat buat apa? Ada yang kata nak buat fotografi, ada yang nak kata nak buat cooking, someone to learn knitting, So okay, this is what they want. Betul? So I talked to my PEIBG, this thing, the the kugiran in the school, we had a small room. They collected empty eggshell containers. Tampal to make a soundproof room.
Soundproofing.
Yes.
Wow.
See, they are very creative. And, once they this thing, and then, when they do, it's just like me, because when I found out that I can do well in sports, I became more confident, And this is what we were trying to do, give them confidence for them to do something that they are good at, But in terms of their studies and things like that, okay, I cannot allow them not to do well in their studies. So we create programs. We create programs yang macam teacher on call, so that kalau mereka pergi China 3 bulan balik, mereka tak tertinggal lah. They can, have a appointment one-to-one with the teachers. They take modules. Macam-macam lah. Macam-macam. All the children needed was guidance on time management, guidance on how to catch up and things like that. That's all they needed.
Datuk, are you very strict?
Huh?
Are you a very strict teacher?
I was, and actually I am. This thing for me, it's where discipline is concerned. Yes is yes, no is no. There's no gray area in that thing. But the kids know it, and I've been told that I'm very motherly. So Although the kids know that I am strict, but if they have problems, they will come to me.
Just as a question, when it comes to raising, the next generation of athletes kan, kita selalu ada persoalan di antara dua benda kan, iaitu bakat dengan kerja keras. Dari pandangan cikgu, mana satu paling penting, dan adakah benda bakat ni sebenarnya wujud ke tidak? Ke dia sesuatu yang kita boleh membina dengan cukup kerja keras?
Okay. Like they say lah, excellence is 1% talent, 99% perseverance or hard work. Okay. So kerja keras memang this thing. Any research will show you, even if you want to be a world-class pianist, you need a minimum of 10,000 hours of practice. In any skills lah, you need that
Yes,
kind
I've
amount
heard
of
this,
time.
yeah.
This thing. So daripada segi this thing, tetapi kalau bakat kurang, you spend 10,000 hours or so, you can become good, but not as good as a person who is talented. So both are required. Both are required. And that's why we are working on a talent identification program called My Talent Plan and things like that, so that we hope we can identify talent. But identifying talent at the present moment is just physical. A lot of sports success also comes with mental attitude. Because I have had students dekat sekolah yang sangat berbakat, tetapi mereka senantiasa cari jalan untuk langgar peraturan sekolah. And then when you finally send them the counsellor and talk to things and things like that, dia kata, saya tahu saya bagus dalam sukan, tetapi saya tak minat nak jadi atlet profesional. I like to enjoy sports and not do, that have to train twice a day and things like that. So that's why mereka langgar peraturan, supaya disciplinary action has to be taken against them and they'll be sent out of the school. It happens. So, first and foremost, the distinct physical attributes, yes. Physical attributes, penting. Tetapi, we must also see whether the child mentally wants to do it or not.
Minat.
Yes. Kalau mereka minat, then they will distinct. And then, itu pun mereka perlu dilayan dengan cara yang berbeza pada peringkat-peringkat yang berbeza. It's just like if you are 7, 8 years old and you're starting, you minat, okay, but you get a coach yang autokratik, you have to be autokratik, tetapi you kena juga pandai make it fun for them, then they will come back. Can you imagine if 7 years old you ask them very seriously train, and they will say, Mommy, I don't want to do this. So
kena sesuatu yang dia boleh terima juga kan. Interesting. So for more senior athletes, what do you think the approach is? I think for what I've heard, a lot of the question is always about macam sponsorships dan cara untuk financially survive as an athlete and mengambil langkah untuk represent Malaysia. Is this an actual problem, and does it affect women especially much? Because sometimes the viewership for women's sports tak setinggi macam mana kalau kita nak bandingkan dengan sports untuk lelaki. How does this aspect of sports work?
Saya rasa di Malaysia kita tidak menghadapi masalah sebegitu besar, because like you see at the present moment, viewership of badminton goes up when Tina and Pearly plays.
Those are a very special duo, yes.
Yes, okay. But I think it has always been, it's just like during my time when I was running, also a lot of people came up to watch.
Of course, because it was you.
Okay, but then that's what I'm saying. So it depends
Personality
on
based.
the athletes, depends on this thing. If they are really good, people will come and watch. People will come and this thing and all these kind of things. Tapi daripada segi untuk jadi professional athlete and all that, saya rasa pada ketika lah, pada masa kini, dia, it may be a little bit of a problem for athletes who are starting. But those who have made it to the national team shouldn't have problems because they get allowances, they get their food, accommodation and travels taken care of. Coaches are found for them. So during my time, I had to find my own coach. But now coaches are dedicated to them. The facilities are just different, And then untuk mereka yang nak mencuburi diri dan sebagainya, now what we are encouraging is ex-athletes who have got years of experience, who is interested in coaching, untuk take up kursus 𝙀𝙎𝙄𝙎, get a license so that they can become coaches. And now for coaches, YB Hana baru tingkatkan diorang punya gaji.
That's great.
Yes, so they've got they're getting higher paid now. And then bukan saja this thing, the athletes are getting EPF, getting SOCSO.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's not,
as every employee deserves, right?
Yes, and that's not happening. That was not happening during my time. But we didn't complain because
there was no option.
During my time, it was a hobby for us. So it's this thing. But I think at the present moment, our government is doing a lot for the national athletes and opening up a lot of opportunities. That's why, like in ISN, we have this what we call an Academy 𝙀𝙎𝙄𝙎𝙀𝙎 Kebangsaan, who is supposed to give licenses to the coaches, and we train the coaches. Because at the present moment, mereka kena buat sports science and they have to do pengkhususan. Then when they gabung both, they get a license. Okay, so what's happening now is we are doing special programs, things like programs seperti women can coach. So these are coaching programs especially for women. And then when we had the COVID lockdown and things like that, we did online things where we invited the prominent women coaches, like the women's basketball coach who won the SEA Games gold medal, the girls team. Put her there, netball coach, and somebody like Roslinda Samsu, who is coaching pole vault now. She used to be a pole vaulter, she's coaching pole vault now. So they were on a panel and people could call in and ask questions, So this is like, we wanted to encourage women, show them examples of women who have succeeded in that field, and that they can this thing. And we find that, like you said, bit by bit, more women are returning, more ex-athletes are returning to the coaching scene. So it's a good start. Like even Leong Manyi, she's got her own diving academy now. So they are starting. And it's very encouraging because there are so many programs put in place. And then it's just like now KBS has initiated it with LHDN, where if you employ a coach for yourself or for your children, even for your parents, kan Cik Sakri, where you can get 1,000 deduction in your... You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know this.
Yes, you can get $1,000 deduction from your income tax if you employ coaches. That means your coaching fee.
Wow.
Yes, you can get.
Is tax exemptable to a threshold lah?
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yes.
Like even on a personal capacity. So let's say you have a child and you nak child you belajar swimming. Even in that capacity, that's a tax exemptable thing?
Yes. Yes, that's what we're trying to encourage people to do sports, and that's what's happening. I mean, we've always had this tax exempt thing for sports equipment, right?
Yes, sports equipment I knew about.
Now, sports coaching.
Okay, time kita semua pergi kena belajar sports lepas ni We have a runner in our midst actually. Shaz is, she does marathons and stuff like that. Loves it. But back to you, Dato'. Okay.
How come I didn't see you at the Run Fest?
Oh, I didn't want to go because I know that a lot of people will come. But my friend was running the event, yeah. I know Dato' was there. I should have, come and see her.
She got some sort of marathon coming in Langkawi. I don't know what's happening, but how what are you doing? Half marathon.
Marathon.
Yeah.
Or 21K lah.
Yeah. That's a lot of K, right?
Well, when you talk to people like her, then she will talk to people like doing the Iron Man and all these kind of things.
That's even beyond. That's beyond. Like, okay. What was it like? I think also from a physicality standpoint, Datuk, bila Datuk membuat keputusan untuk retire, even sampai sekarang, the difference in your body, just because you are an athlete. Because I ada nampak this one very, very interesting graphic that I thought was like really insane, right? About the aging of your body dari segi kita punya tulang dengan kita punya muscle of an athlete versus a regular individual. They did like a cross section of the muscle capacity in the thigh. I tak tahu lah macam mana dia orang buat benda ni. Tapi it said that a retired athlete's muscle density dalam badan dia masih tinggi bandingkan dengan a never have ever been like a sedentary adult, walaupun dua-dua dah tak bergerak sangat lah, ataupun dah sedentary lifestyle kan. And disebabkan muscle tone tu, walaupun muscle atrophies, dia takkan pernah atrophy sampai ke zero, dan benda tu akan menjaga badan you lama-lama bila kita dah mungkin berumur sikit untuk kurang daripada accident, jatuh, benda-benda yang kita nak elakkan lah.
Yes.
As a former athlete, do you find that your physical shape is still above average?
Very much so. What I've found is, okay, I've had 2 major surgeries. Okay, one was for thyroid cancer when I was young, when I was 25. But after surgery, I returned to competitive running. Because we recover so fast.
Wow.
Okay, and then lately was in 2014 when I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. So I had a hysterectomy done, and I was back full-time at work after 8 days. We tend to recover faster if we stay fit. Okay, and right now, like for me, okay, I notice that I walk stronger, I walk faster, but for me, maybe it's because I am still physically active. I don't run, I can't run anymore, but I walk, I go into the pool, I go to the gym, basically because I enjoyed my youth too much, so I've got osteoarthritis of the knee. But in terms of muscle tone and all that, still okay.
I think a lot of people enjoy their youth, to be honest, Dato'. Tapi there's, at least as a former athlete, you're more protected than the average person who has enjoyed their youth, right?
That's
I
true.
feel like my knees are going to come back with a vengeance in a couple of years for the amount of enjoying of my youth I've done in high heels and whatnot, right?
You can slow down that process by getting fit again.
Yes. The option is always there. And now you can get it up to 1,000 ringgit tax exempt. This is true. Maybe this is the sign actually. But very, very interesting. I always wanted to ask because I feel like, honestly, on a much smaller scale, obviously lah Dato', I rasa macam oleh sebab dulu saya pernah aktif dengan cara yang sangat serius, sampailah sekarang certain things lah, ilmu pasal nutrition, pasal apa yang works for my body. Walaupun I dah tak seberapa bergerak, dah I duduk je dengan I punya komputer kan, benda tu dah mengubah my life dengan cara yang permanent. I'm just more aware of these things.
Yeah.
Saya rasa dia mungkin insentif untuk orang kat luar sana. Kita hampir dekat hujung kita punya rancangan, Datuk. Tapi sebelum kita habis, saya nak tanya Datuk sendirilah, pada pandangan Datuk. You've done a lot in your life and career. Sama ada dia as a mewakili Malaysia, all of the awards that you've won. I found out outside that Datuk, you pernah jadi a commentator for the Korean Olympics. That's an astounding achievement that I feel like we need to even maybe speak about in a second. But dalam semua these things that you've achieved, you know, being the headmistress of the sports school, what is your proudest achievement?
Giving birth to my 2 children, healthy children.
That's really, really sweet. Your kids, have they ever expressed interest in doing sports and stuff? No?
Yes, my daughter you see, this is the paradox that we face at home lah. My daughter is very interested. She tried swimming, she tried running, she ended up playing rugby for the country. One of the first few women rugby players for Malaysian team. She went for the Asian Games in Incheon in 2014. My son, on the other hand, also likes sports. He asked to learn tennis when he was younger. He would take part in olahraga in school, because he's so tall. Baling shot pat, tak training pun menang, this kind of things. And then he asked to learn how to play golf. He did swimming with his sister. And all his coaches will say he's talented. Swimming, they say he has a natural fin because dia punya kasut Nike size 13.
Dah tak perlulah pakai fin apa-apa kan. Pakai kaki sebenar pun dah okey dah tu. Ui, dia dahsyat lah 13.
Yes. And when he learned how to play golf, the coach said he was very talented. Everything. The problem is, like I said,
The minat.
he is not interested in becoming a serious sportsman. Like now, he plays pickleball.
Pickleball! Oh, I love that actually.
So it's like,
Pickleball.
he's a good sportsman,
Really?
but he's just not He's just not, he just doesn't want to become seriously competitive.
Yeah, but I think maybe it's one of those things that minat tu, itu tak boleh diajar.
Yes.
Malang ni.
Yes.
Kan? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, Datuk, before we finish, we do need to circle back to that topic that I mentioned earlier sebab I rasa itu terlalu menarik untuk kita abaikan, which is you were a commentator for the Korean Olympics. Like, what on earth? A huge opportunity.
Okay, this one, it just so happened that we were at a football game. My husband and I were at a football game, and I have met Datuk Rahim Razali when I was 16.
Yes, an
Okay.
icon.
Yes, and we were at this football game, and we met him there, and we started talking and all that. And my husband told him, he says, my wife speaks well. Why don't you take her on as a commentator? Then he said, are you interested? I said, I don't mind trying. So I did. And I did, those days they used to have the Arena Sukan program. So he was the host for Arena Sukan program for a few episodes. And then I went to the 88 Olympics in Seoul as a commentator. But when I came back, then I found that, too many things and too little time to do it. So I decided to focus on my family and focus on my job. And
That's a crazy opportunity though. And at least, you know what? Sekurang-kurangnya lah, you did it.
yes, I have the experience of doing it.
Yeah, and what a legacy that is. All right, so what is next for you in general? And I suppose just to end, like, what do you hope to see? Banyak lagi wanita yang bergelar atlet ataupun former atlet championing for yang kita ada akses sekarang, yang mungkin dulu kita tak pernah ada akses sebelum ni. What do you hope to see for the industry?
I really, really hope to see many more young women, people who have retired from their sports and things, take up the opportunities, because right now there are opportunities. Maze in MSN has started this program where they've selected spokesperson to talk about the programs that Maze does and things like that. So this is one of the platforms where the athletes can show their talents outside of their sports, talents in leadership, talents in training other people and things like that. So I've always said that I wanted, what I want is to train people to come, because like I know I have been trying very hard to do or to contribute to sports in the best possible way that I can. But I am aging, and there will come a time when I have to step back. So I hope that when I step back, there will be many more who are willing to step up and take over things that I have done and maybe do more than what I can do. So that's my real wish, to see, don't just stop with your sports, but
Continue your contributions.
continue. And it is very, very possible, even though if you build a family and things like that, the most important thing is, I think if it's like sometimes we used to have this problem where, okay, like I was working as a teacher, but I was involved with sports programs outside, which sometimes took me away from my job. But I think if you seriously show that you are sincere and that you want to do, it's just like when I was an athlete and my second year of teaching, okay, I was teaching English and PE. Okay, PE, it's all right. If they miss it also, is this thing, there's nothing much I can do about it. But the English lessons were important. So what I used to do was, when I came back from centralized training and things like that, I would have additional classes, get the kids to come in early, because I was teaching in the afternoon at the time, get the kids to come in early so that we try and replace the classes. So I think that has been all the bosses that I have had. They have seen that in me. It's just that I'm not, I am not a person who takes advantage of the situation, or whatever. And I have never asked for special privileges or whatever. So I think it's like, if they can step up and do things sincerely without expecting anything in return, people will see what they can do, what this thing, and people will
Accommodate accordingly.
Yes, not accommodate accordingly also, but promote them so that they can contribute. This is like now I see Farah Ann, I can see that she can contribute a whole lot. Mani can contribute a whole lot. We've got so many ex-athletes who can contribute a whole lot, and I just want to show them that you can carry on contributing to the sports system without affecting your own life too much.
This is true. I hope to say the same. I think it's very important. Before we finish, we do have a rapid fire section. Are you ready? These are
Yes.
these are really spicy questions.
Yes.
What is the first thing you do when you wake up?
Play Sudoku on my phone.
Huh?
Hey, at this age, we have to keep our mind active and alert. And that's one of the best exercises that you can do.
I love Sudoku. This is great. First thing in the morning that's a hard start to the day, but okay. Fantastic. You can see the spirit of the athlete is still there. Okay. What was your favorite childhood game?
My favorite childhood game. Playing teacher students with my neighborhood kids, because I was the oldest kid there. So I'd have classes with this thing.
On what subjects?
Anything, English, maths.
What type of game is this? This is very constructive. Bandingkan dengan my time of hopscotch and all sorts of degenerate games that we had. Yeah.
Where I lived in the railway quarters, there is a railway view. The railway lines is there. Then my house is just facing the railway line. There's just a field there. There's no place where you can draw hopscotch and all these kind of things. And so as kids, it's either, you play catching or you play whatever. But this thing, we used to say, okay, we play teacher.
Cute. Cikgu, eh? Okay, what is to this day your favorite cheap meal?
Cheap meals. Yang tau fu.
Oh, yang tafu is a good one. A solid choice, Datuk. Okay, if you could master any hobby instantly, which would it be?
Knitting.
Okay, that's a hard one to master. Actually, yeah, it's a hard one to master the patterns and stuff, right?
I do knitting.
Really?
But I would love to master it because
Yeah.
I have knitted sweaters and things like that. But sometimes, the collars don't turn out as round as it should be.
Yes. Yeah.
That kind of thing. So if I could master anything, I'd like to master knitting.
Okay.
And I wish I could have 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎 as my instructor.
Oh my gosh, his knitting is outstanding, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. I've seen some of the sweaters he's knitted, and I'm like incredibly impressed that he watches the Olympics, and you can see 𝙏𝙃𝙄𝙎 with his knitting.
That is the way he prepares himself mentally.
That's
So
crazy.
you don't stress yourself out. It's something you're doing. It's just like before I used to run and things like that. I always had, those days there was no Sudoku, so I always had a crossword puzzle book with me. Because instead of sitting down and listening to gossip and chatter and sometimes psychological games that people want to play with you and things like that, I just took.
Do you miss it, Datuk?
Yes, I miss running a lot, but I'm also realistic. That's why I don't take part in the masters and things like that. Basically, because I know if I do, my knees will start to swell up. And then I'll have to go rehab and all this kind of things. So I'd rather not.
Final question of the episode. Satu advice ataupun lesson quote that you live by, and siapa yang bagi?
90% of the time, if you cannot solve a problem one way, there is always another way. That's what I believe in. And that's what I have tried to practice. That's why, like, when I was in 𝙀𝙀𝙄𝙎𝙊𝘿, we didn't have enough time during the day for them to finish their, like they were short on time. So their periods were shortened and things like that. I started night classes so that they would get their full.
As a way of circumventing.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. Okay. I will remember that. Selalu ada lebih daripada satu cara untuk menyelesaikan satu masalah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Before kita habiskan kita punya episod, Datuk, ada tak apa-apa pesanan kepada masyarakat Malaysia yang tengah menonton kita punya episod minggu ini?
Kepada masyarakat Malaysia, please support our athletes. They work very hard. And believe me, they all want to win. But sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it's just not the correct time for them. So please support them unconditionally.
And on that note, thank you so much sekali lagi, Datuk, meluangkan masa bersama kami. Kami berharap you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place for the next one. Bye. Thank you, guys.